Hi kids, welcome to the 5th week of the Lisbon Library's Tales and Tales summer reading program. This week we will be making fossil casts using modeling clay, a plastic animal, and some plaster of Paris. Pick up your activity supply kit while they last in the children's room at the Lisbon Library. Make sure you do log those reading minutes and pick up some of those other activities you might have missed. Now let's get started. In your activity supply kit, you'll find a small plastic animal, some modeling clay, 2 cups, and some plaster of Paris. We'll also give you a craft stick so that you can stir the plaster of Paris and water together. So the first step is to take that modeling clay and form it into a ball. And once you have a ball, you can start to flatten it out. Squish it fairly evenly around. Make sure that it is big enough for your plastic animal to fit on there. You'll see that this zebra is still a little too big, so I need to make it a little thinner. And try and make it as even as possible. You don't have to roll it out or anything. Just a big enough space so that that animal will fit on there. And you can sort of press that in once it's big enough. And you only want to go about halfway into the clay with that plastic animal. You don't want it to go over top of the animal because otherwise it will be very difficult to get that animal out of the clay. You want to be able to have enough room to sort of gently pry it out. You can see I'm sort of bending the clay and pushing from the back a little bit and making sure that it releases very gently. And there's the impression that our plastic animal made in that modeling clay. The next step is to mix the plaster and water. Fill the water cup just a little bit, maybe a quarter full, and then slowly add plaster. And it should be a fairly gloopy consistency. Stir it together. If you need to, add a little bit more plaster to get it a little thicker. It'll be a little thicker than hot cocoa, for example. Once that's mixed, you're going to slowly pour it into your mold that you made with the clay. And it's easy to get too much. You don't want to overfill it. If you want, you can make a lip around the edge of the mold, sort of pinch up the edges so that the plaster does not overfill the whole thing. But if you add it very slowly, you should be able to fill it up just above that level of that impression in the clay. Let it dry. Takes about 24 hours. It may be faster. And then slowly peel that clay back, working around the whole thing, sort of pushing from behind until it starts to release. The plaster may be slightly fragile, so you don't want to use a lot of force. And there is your fossil cast. If you're very careful, you can reuse that clay mold or make a new one. You just need a little bit more plaster of Paris and water. And those impressions are a little fragile, so be real careful with them. You may try painting them if you want to, but have fun. We'll see you next time.